Alrighty, daily trading recap for this final day of the trading week before Christmas time. It is Thursday, the 23rd of December, 2021, and Merry Christmas from Nancy Pelosi, or whoever the powers that be today. SPY closing right around all-time highs once again. I think Bitcoin's also up back at just above 50K, I think, as of right now. We'll just pull up Beta, I think somewhere around there. Yeah, so Merry Christmas going into this Christmas Eve and Christmas weekend. In the next few days here, go over some market internals for dollar volume, just as reference for me, expecting pretty low. And as of 5 minutes after the close, we are here. $140 billion volume on NASDAQ. NYSE, $164 billion volume. That is a huge drop-off. And OTCs, if I could click it, $1.9 billion volume we're showing on the day. Yeah, kind of a slower day. I just knew I really wasn't going to try to force anything hard because it is that final day before. It is a 4-day week, and it's that final day of, maybe we get some good crazy movers on low floaters with low volume. Maybe they get manipulated somehow. So keep bearing that in mind of looking at that potential if some of these are starting to go. Thought I was seeing a little bit of that in SOPA potentially. But I'll get into that. Yeah, nothing really hard pressed for me on the trading side, and I'm continuing to refine more and more. I talked about yesterday too, giving that a little idea of keeping this little constantly rotating and updating database of recent charts that fit the criteria or mold for specific plays or within my own playbook. So keeping a chart of what are these first screen days doing, and just keeping a database of the last 2 to 3 weeks of, okay, let's pull up all the charts here, and now I have them all in the same exact place. And if I see any movers of a first screen day come up on the pre-market scan, I can refresh myself very easily, go back to those charts and say, okay, here's what these were doing, here's what these specific float ranges were doing on the day, here's what these specific percentage movers were doing on the day, looking at just the broad spectrum chart movement of that pre-market move, see what that's doing, what is the overall recent market sentiment for those types of patterns. And I do the same thing with second day plays, of third day plays, of multi-day holder and breakouts. I can continue to go on and on that way too. And I feel even today, I felt that was just so much better for my own mental space too, because I've gotten in I just get this little hitch at times where I do all this preparation work and I come into the market just ready to get after it and go tackle it. But as I'm in the trades themselves, there's that little, or even in the little preparation in pre-market still, there's that little kind of voice or just mentality that washes over me, just like that becomes I don't know anything about the stock market. Like, what am I looking at? It's just that for some reason, why that happens at times I know the preparation and the work that I've done in beforehand, and I know what's going on, but then there's just those, for some reason, the mind just goes blank and it just becomes this, it's not even like in a moment of trading or a moment of emotion. It's just like, whether it's just because it's so early in the morning or whatever's going on that way, that I just go, wait, what am I doing? And it's just, I don't know. It's like that SpongeBob with fine dining and breathing. I've just completely forgotten about everything else except that. So I think this is going to be very beneficial for that specific reason, specific little thing with me, that it says, okay, yeah, that's not going to happen anymore. I can have that feeling, but then I can just immediately turn that back to go, okay, you actually do know what's going on. This is this quick little refresher and give you a perfect example and no bias of what the thought was of this chart did. Oh, I remember a chart like this type of pattern did today. Oh, I think it did, like, spiked pretty hard in pre and then fell off. There's no more of like guessing with that. There's just the actual chart there to say, oh yeah, I kind of did that, but it didn't spike as much as that. And so fine tuning it down even more that way to have a clearer picture of what's the current movement of these specific plays and potential for them is at the current present time. So very excited about that, continuing to go forward that way. And I just had a little line that I wrote down in my journal today of, don't judge a stock by its first minute candle. I think I do that a lot of, or just kind of get call a little bit of FOMO, or just a little bit of like, ooh, if I see a stock that I like potentially in pre, or especially if they're first screen day movers and they have a very nice first screen day candle or first minute candle, maybe kind of like, was KXIN a good example? Not even really. It was a hard red candle. KTTA, did that one? Yeah. Of this like first movement out of the gate here, just nice green, continuing to put in nice green. You get another third candle that's a nice continual green spike there. So it's just kind of a little note for me, or just maybe a little saying that I keep a hold of in the future of don't base a trade off of that first minute candle, because it is one of the most volatile and sketchy times within that first minute. And especially don't be putting stop orders stop orders around there at that point, because it's just can be so wicky at times, and really not having defined a trend at that point, you can get stopped out very easily when the trade or the trend is still going in your favor that way too. So good, just a little lesson I wrote down for what it's worth to myself, to the future me that's watching this one. High five to you for listening to that, but maybe that saying's garbage. But whatever. Let's get into the charts on the day. We got over market volume. PTPI was the only real trader for me. Off of of course, for reference, this is that American pharmaceutical company, 6 million floater. They had the offering of $7.5 million yesterday at a price of $3.43, and tanked pretty hard off of that news in pre, but then bounced pretty nicely into market open and had a little spike after that, succeeding that, and then kind of came off a little bit, but still didn't really die and look extremely bearish. And especially on the daily perspective, we are still in this very nice uptrend, little range, kind of draw it wherever you want to. That range is upward movement of a wedge. It wasn't a very nice wedge before that previous date on those past 3 days. But even through that, it's this bottom line has just become still a very key factor for some reason, that it has not broken that yet, and very, very intriguing to me. So the trade thesis on this trade specifically, as I'm seeing it build with volume in today, started to build off very quickly with volume. It was kind of in the corner of my screen because I didn't think there was a lot of volume within these first 2-3 minutes of market open, and it was just say, hey, don't waste your time. Don't focus on something that really doesn't have to show anything today or right now. But then, of course, it started printing pretty nicely, and we got a huge block print that I saw at 3.4 that went off and said, okay, whoa, I think there is certainly potential here, and this is still within the range, the realm of around that 3.4 level of, okay, there's still potential to the upside off of this trade. I'm not necessarily just kind of buying randomly, even though it did feel like that a little bit after it pulled back off of that hard 3.4 block print, but maybe that was some amount of potential larger short covering a position that they thought was going to break against them, rather than go in the direction of the anti-wedge, the breaking of the wedge bottom there, that little rising line bottom on that points. But maybe that's what I was seeing and that I was getting into, and I kind of lucked out that there was some support behind it to continue to push it higher. But certainly, not an A+ setup for an idea, but trading what was there and trading some opportunity, and give myself a B grade for the idea of, okay, I'm looking for, it's still within this range of holding that little wedge bottom. It is a super low floater. It's the day before Christmas weekend. We could see some nice volatile moves. This is that former runner and has had this crazy multi-day just mess here. So we could see something out of it. It's not like this is a perfect, picture perfect usage of that, and especially coming off of that offering, what should have been a dump and bearish sign, we could be straggling in a few more shorts who also could have been starting in their shorts from that downside yesterday move as well, looking for more downside off of that offering news. They do also have like $2 million left from the January shelf. I think they used some more from that of this offering from that January shelf. So still $2 million left, which was, that is a lot of money, of course, in my terms, but really not a lot in market terms that way. So two really different trade theses that I could have gone on with this one. For the one that I went with today, it was, I gave myself a grade of A+ execution wise for what I was looking for. I could not have asked really for a better execution wise on this trade thesis of getting a nice sell into 3.6 here and perfectly rejecting on huge volume after that, of taking half off into that first little reject there. And this was with, of course, my 10 share size. I'm still very, very small cash account trading size for getting the confidence back, getting the win rate back up, and continuing to knock down each bowling pin successively, one after another, of the different categories that I feel are there of trading. And the first one that I'm still in is that level of, okay, am I in the right charts and am I trading the right trades, regardless of position size and timing on the trades and other factors that way of, okay, am I thinking correctly that, okay, buying here would produce price action higher than what I'm buying it at. Like, that's the main meat, the chunk of what I'm trying to do currently in this trading career here. So got a little bit out of it. And then adding on top to getting that experience of being able to see the price action, see the time it sales, to know when to sell, and having another opportunity for it to bounce off of VWAP here again, letting that risk hop perfectly off of that 3.4 mark. It started to rise again off of that, test that breakout intraday level again, and sold off just pretty much right around that same 3.6 level as it rejected off of there in that breakout point, and then started to fall off and gave it enough breathing room. Was tempted to cut it earlier, cut it around this point when it failed that again, but certainly allowed it, since I was in that position again, and okay, I've got a fraction of the initial position size that I have. Why would I not allow it to, I don't want to use the term lottery ticket chance that it goes up, that it continues to go up, and give it a bigger risk level because of the smaller position size of that and that risk profile, how it's defined there. But of the practice that, where was I going with that? Because of how many times I've done that in the past, of just kind of shortchanging myself and taken the sure profit. Whereas, even in that too, with how educational and experimental I am right now with these paper trades and these very small position sizes, and just how I'm looking to soak up as much information as possible, why would I not leave a few on just to be able to experience it? So I did leave on, a quarter of that initial position size. So what I was trading of 10 shares, like leaving on, that'd be 3 shares that I had, whatever left there at that point. And then just letting it ride, bounces off 3.4 again, tries to, flirt with VWAP there, but just fades a little bit more. And man, was that 3.43-ish, 3.44-ish, I believe, became that little level. And I said, okay, there's a big bidder there, and now it's chewing away a little bit. Okay, I think that's my cue to get out here. And sure enough, bam, that was the last opportunity for the morning session to get out there, and surely would have stopped me out, and I would have gotten a fill probably just right below, or maybe a little worse, right at my entry price. Whereas I could save myself a few cents on that nice little exit there. So, man, I got to give myself an A+ on that execution for that trade thesis on that little morning trader there. But again, I could have traded this also with a different trade thesis of getting in, starting in with this entry price, maybe sizing it a little bit more, but risking low of day, risking the bottom of this wedge line, and still saying that, I would most likely still be in this trade because it didn't break any defined risk levels. We're bottom ticking here. We're rising again to VWAP, having little volume spikes along the way, continuing to, it pulls back to VWAP, but it's still putting in higher lows, continuing to grind higher, closer to the close, and sold off a little bit here, but man, still looking pretty strong and nice. So in my opinion, it's going off of that trade thesis, I would still be in this trade and watching this one for potential successive days after this one to see if it does have any more moves after that. But for what I was looking at today, very, very nice experience all around for that little morning trade. Even though it's not an awesome, 10%, 20% profit opportunity, trading the chart as it's there, that's all I can ask for. SOPA was the one that I just kind of finagled around with today. It was not really a trade. I was trading like 2 shares, of course, just very, very small size. But at this multi-day holder, thought this was going to see some crazy volume and crazy action on this one after it did have that initial short squeeze spike into a halt. Because coming into this one today too, I was also kind of holding that short thesis in my head of, okay, it double topped yesterday. It's still holding okay. And then kind of double topping again here in pre, and then dumping off or selling off a little bit under VWAP and market open, and consolidating and trying again to break VWAP, and then breaks or falls below again, still testing these lows. So then tries to break to new low from there, but it says, oh no, we're going back above VWAP now. So and then got huge volume to push it higher into that. So I was just totally messing around. I think I got out like twice, in and out twice with 2 shares of trying to like scalp this little move here. And I think I was profitable on one that got me from like 19 something. I'm trying to buy as it's opening around here. But of course that was just a minefield. And then I was able to make a little bit of money, a few cents on that first one, running it higher, and then tried to spin that wheel again, and then took a little slappage in the face. So yeah, it produced a little bit of opportunity there. I can give it like a C grade for the idea on the trade, but just a D, that grade I gave myself for execution wise, and certainly a trade that I do not want to be putting in the playbook or allowing myself as a trader to push harder in the future. It's just, I think I was kind of a little bored, or just kind of thought had a little bit of potential here. Maybe look at it as some fun money to play with in that sense. So I'll lose $2 on it as a lesson again to just stay away if there's no hard trade thesis on it. Let's save the capital and the mental capacity for something else. That way too. Very, very cheeky little trade on that one. It makes me smile, but it's just like, okay, let's just not do that again. Let's just watch it and learn from the tape action next time. Those are all the charts I really wanted to mention for the day that happened. Watch us coming over the weekend. AABB, that OTC ticker, very nice move today. It's been on the watch list for a few days now for looking on the daily here of how we've been eyeing these key levels of 25 that we were hitting on 3 days ago and had a little bit of a sell-off rest day just underneath this 27-ish mark here. Plenty of few technical levels to go here from this little recent move of November, and then also from these past moves here from the start of the year, February, March there, but closing very nicely. A lot of the traders in the chat, and Chris as well too, trading a nice little afternoon VWAP hold, or just nice trade into the close there for a very nice sit, hoping for a gap up over the weekend. Starting on Monday, I could absolutely see it, and I'm still just kind of watching at a distance and keeping my actual money away from it because of those stupid OTC fees and how they can kind of wreck the fun when I'm just trying to keep such a small position size anyway. So just keeping my eye on it for right now and just watching price action and learning that way rather than actually being in the trade itself and just kind of stupidly taking OTC fees when I don't really have to or want to. But yeah, definitely keeping an eye on OTCs. If they start just like rapid hot fire peaking up, then we will definitely have to step our toes back in that water that way. And then I'm also still long ACET and TOMZ. I really don't think they're dead yet. Again, both of them are just very, very low volume. They were awesome. They were awesome first screen day movers, and then still just kind of lingering around, pressing these little levels higher and higher each time, just holding and holding, which is kind of what my thesis has become for this trade. So we're just hoping for any amount of volume. TOMZ is a little bit grindier down of a daily, but looking a little better for my position size of where I'm sitting. And it's just funny to see that both of these two still don't add up to this. They add up to less dollar volume than what AABB and OTC was trading today, which is funny to see. So I think I could compare it to like a GRTX and a BFRI are probably a better example for a multi-day hold breakout run with bigger volume for the listed sector to compare to AABB as compared to ACET and TOMZ for how they're moving. And of course, not anywhere near the same volume that they were producing on that first green day, but BFRI putting in very nice moves here into the close. So those are probably, as an educational experience, probably for the listed sector, probably a better study taking notes chart to learn from as compared to ACET and TOMZ. But I think the risk reward profile from what I'm looking for, I know they're going to be speculative. I know it's at this point still a low probability chance, but I think just for the mental capacity that I'm at right now, it's still in this paper educational experience. I'm down to be in those two, still holding them and learning from these ones that are moving some pretty nice percentage points there. But that is all I had, trying to keep a nice little short video here so we can get off into a nice holiday weekend. I sincerely thank you guys all for watching, and we will catch you guys on the next one.